The question that makes weight loss easy. And this question is going to seem so obvious once I say it. But before I tell you what this question is, it's important to point out the reason that you never asked this question. And that's the key part because you're so conditioned to think of weight loss as being difficult, right? And if we take it a step further, really, you want weight loss to be difficult because you associate the harder and more difficult the weight loss is, the faster the results you're going to get. Kind of the no pain, no gain thing. Okay. So that is what prevents you from asking this very simple and obvious question. All right. And that question is, how can I make weight loss easy and enjoyable? Again, it seems so obvious once you hear that, right? But you never ask this question because you're always presupposing that weight loss has to be really difficult. And again, like I said, you're really looking for that. So when you start asking the question, how can I make weight loss easier? How can I make weight loss fun? How can I lose weight and keep it off for the rest of my life? Right? When we start asking these types of questions, we put our mind to work on finding those answers because your subconscious mind is a servo mechanism. So it just answers whatever questions you ask of it. But oftentimes, what we're doing is we're asking very unhelpful questions, where we're saying, why don't I lose the weight? Why don't I stick with a plan? How come I can never get the results I want? And we're always framing questions that way. And we rarely ask the questions that are going to move us in the direction we want to go in. So that is the first step. Now, the second step is to give yourself some time, because when you first ask the question, how can I lose weight in an easy and enjoyable way? Well, your brain says, I don't know, right? Because you haven't thought about it at all. So it was just a vacuum there. So you have to give yourself some time and keep asking these questions. Sometimes you have to ask the questions in slightly different ways. But if you get obsessed with the question, how can I keep asking slightly different ways here, but how can I master my weight in an enjoyable and fun way? How can I enjoy the process? How can I make it easy? How can I do it even when I'm not motivated? You see, you can ask whatever question you want. And the more you ask these questions and the more you kind of come at them from slightly different angles and really, figure them out, the more you start to generate new ideas, new awareness, new strategies and solutions that actually make that a reality for you. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. It's not a short-term thing. So again, I can't just get on here and say, oh, this is how you make weight loss easy, because it's not for me to tell you that. It's for me to show you the process to get you to come up with your answer, because what makes it easy for me is different than what's going to make it easy for you. Right? I'm a different person, different lifestyle, different situation. So it's really about asking yourself the question, how can me, understanding who I am, my lifestyle, my situation, how can I, taking all those things into account, make weight loss easy? And when you get obsessed on this question, what happens? This is one of the coolest parts of this process. And again, you got to have patience with it. So I keep saying that because I know you need to be reminded of that. But one of the coolest parts of this process is not only that you start generating answers to it, but more importantly, you start to program your mind to start to notice the answers, because you have a part of your brain called the reticular activation system, RAS for short. And that part of your brain's job is to delete things from your awareness that are considered to be unimportant or not valuable to you. And so you experience this with your nose, right? So if you close one eye, look at your nose, you see it. Close the other eye, look at your nose, you see it. Open both eyes, your brain deletes it. There's no value in noticing your nose all day. And so your brain is always doing this. This is why when you're driving, you notice your car on the road, right? You're not scanning, looking for it, but it just pops in your awareness because it's important to you. And so I guess what I'm trying to say here is that we don't live in reality. We live in our own reality. We each all kind of live in our own reality. So, again, if you're, I don't know, if you're getting your kitchen remodeled, all of a sudden you notice all the kitchen remodeling stores and places around town where you didn't notice them before. So when you start asking new questions, how can I make weight loss easy? You start literally opening yourself up to a new reality. And it's not because the reality is new, but it's new to you because you start noticing new ways to make that happen. So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I began asking the question, I want to start exercising more. And so one of the things I asked myself is, how can I get more exercise into my life in an enjoyable way? And I've been asking this for a little while. And so one distinction I already made is that, I did some of the machines like cardio machines. I don't like doing those. They're boring to me. And when I feel myself, okay, I'm going to go do that, I feel, I don't want to do it. So right away, I know that that's not a good thing for me. What does work well for me is when I do things in a sport like competitive way. If I play basketball, soccer, pretty much anything competitive, it's really interesting to me. And it's a lot easier for me to get myself to do it. And so all of a sudden, I'm looking through a schedule at a gym, and all of a sudden I notice pickleball. All of a sudden I notice floor hockey, right? Now those have been there, but all of a sudden, because I'm asking myself, what's the easiest way for me to get myself to get some more exercise in my life? Now I start to become aware of those, right? So seeing something and being aware of it are two different things. You're seeing your nose all day long. You're not aware of it because your brain kind of deletes the awareness from your consciousness. So what you want to do is you want to get obsessed with questions, and it becomes almost like a game. How solution oriented, how great a question can you ask? It's very much like computer programming. We will be very, very, very specific with what it is that you want. And so again, this takes trial and error. So this is why I say, I always teach my clients, when you make mistakes, it's fine, because that mistake allows you to increase your awareness so that you can come up with a better strategy. Or if you can't come up with a strategy, come up with a better question that's going to lead to the strategy. And so when you get into this mindset, you have no time to beat yourself up, because you're winning or you're learning. And so you're doing well, or you're making a mistake and you're asking a more refined question. And that's part of this process, because the question you ask in the beginning of the process compared to where you're at a month or two from now are worlds apart. And so I'm starting off with something simple, like, how do I make weight loss easy? But as you ask those questions, you start breaking it down into more granularity. What things would make it easier for me to manage my weight? Well, if I can manage my hunger, what are some ways I can manage my hunger? Well, if I drank more water, if I ate more fiber, if I did this, you see what I mean? So it kind of branches down. But what happens is, this is a shortcut. The questions you ask, most of your thinking is in response to a question you've asked. And so as you take control of the questions, you take control of what you think about in a very powerful way. So as you intentionally start asking more refined, solution-oriented questions to get what you want, you start to literally transform your mind. You literally start to program yourself differently. All right. So again, the question that makes weight loss easy is really more specifically the questions you ask yourself to make weight loss easy. And you focus on the questions because, again, they are the gatekeepers to your thinking. And as you begin to ask more effective questions, you're going to come up with more effective strategies and solutions. And when you come up with more effective strategies and solutions, you get more effective results.